I'm Umi and welcome back to my Pink Pantheress dress-up game series. If you're new here, hello, nice to meet you. And if you're a subscriber or a frequent viewer, hey, it's good to see you again. If you haven't seen the previous videos, definitely check those out first through the playlist. They'll give this episode some context. This is a double episode because episode 7 ended up being really short. It was mostly debugging, so I'm combining it with episode 6. In this episode, I worked on the sprite clothing system. The wardrobe UI was already functional, but the character still wasn't changing outfits yet, so I needed the system to display clothing on the character. Before I move on, I realized I forgot to mention something important in the last episode when I was setting up the wardrobe. The type of dress-up mechanic I wanted for this game is the classic click and select style, where you click an item in the wardrobe, it appears on the sprite, and you can click on the sprite again to remove it. The best example of this is another one of Sue's dress-up games, Princess Sue. That's the exact vibe I'm going for. I choose this mechanic because when I was younger, playing old Flash dress-up games, and the click and select style was always my favourite. It's convenient, clean, and it feels good to use. Don't get me wrong, I love the drag and drop dress-up games too, but the click and select always felt more organised and polished, and honestly it takes less effort than dragging items around. Which sounds a bit lazy, but it's true. I really appreciate creators who make the clothing automatically snaps onto the sprite. That tiny bit of automation makes the whole experience smoother. But the one type of dress-up mechanic I cannot deal with is the kind where you have to manually line up every piece of clothing yourself. Those games used to infuriate me. You make the cutest outfit, but the hair would be slightly off-center or the shirt wouldn't sit exactly right, and suddenly you're spending 20 to 30 minutes nudging the pixels around just to make everything line up. And just to be clear, I don't have anything against creators who use the drag and drop style where you manually line up the clothes on the sprite. I've seen a lot of artists on TikTok sharing their dress-up process, and that mechanic usually works well for their style of game. It's a valid creative choice, and honestly, it probably makes the programming side a lot simpler for them. For me personally, I just prefer the click and select style. It's the type of dress-up mechanic I grew up playing, and it fits the vibe I want for this project. Clean, organized, and stress-free. So it's not that one method is better than the other, it's just about what feels right for the kind of experience I'm trying to create. So for my game, I want to experience an easy, clean and stress-free, no lining things up, no dragging clothes into the perfect position, just click, select and enjoy the outfits. I organised the character into separate nodes for each clothing category: hair, tops, bottoms, dresses, shoes and accessories. This made it easier to control visibility and layering. Getting the name consistent across all categories took longer than expected. If one name didn't match exactly, the whole script couldn't find a node. I added a script to the pink body sprite. This script handles all clothing logic, showing the correct texture and hiding the previous one. At first, I wasn't sure how to structure the script. I had to experiment with different ways of storing clothing names and file paths before settling on a clean approach. I wrote a function that takes the clothing item name and applies the correct texture to the correct category. It also hides any previous item in that category. The hardest part was making sure the right texture loaded every time. If the file path was even slightly off, nothing appeared and the error messages aren't always clear. I made sure each clothing category was layered correctly in the node tree: hair behind the body, clothing above the body, accessories on the top. I had to reorder the nodes a few times because some items were appearing in front or behind the wrong layers. I connected the wardrobe preview buttons so that the clicking item sends the clothing name to the sprite script. This allows the character to update immediately. I wasn't sure at first whether the wardrobe should send a full file path or just the item name. I eventually simplified it so the sprite script handles the path. I tested each categories to make sure the correct texture appeared and that switching between items worked consistently. Some categories worked instantly and others didn't respond at all. This is what leads into the debugging phase. And that's everything for this episode. With the sprite clothing system in place, the character can finally change outfits. In part 7, I'll go through the debugging process that came after connecting both systems. After connecting the wardrobe UI to the sprite clothing system, several issues appeared. This episode's covering the debugging process and the challenges I ran into. Some preview icons were misaligned or scaled incorrectly. This was caused by inconsistent canvas sizes and off-center transformations in the PNG files. This was confusing because the images looked fine in my art program. I eventually realized the transformation Gimzo Inga wasn't centered, so I have to re-export and adjust it several times. I noticed warnings about missing preview containers for certain categories. Some containers were named differently or weren't created yet. The warnings didn't point out to the exact problem, so I had to check each category manually. Once I found the missing grid containers with the correct names, the warnings disappeared. The accessories category was duplicating items when I clicked. This happened because the script added a new preview node without checking if it already existed. This bug took a while to understand because it only happened in accessories. I eventually simplified the logic and added a clear free state system from the accessories menu. Some clothing categories had inconsistent naming between the UI and the sprite nodes. I standardized all category names to remove these errors. A single letter difference could break the entire category, and the error messages aren't always specific. Fixing this requires going through the scene tree carefully. Sometimes the character didn't update when selecting an item. I simplified the equip logic to make the system more reliable. I wasn't sure whatever the issue was in the wardrobe script or in the sprite script. I had to test both separately to find the cause. I removed unused variables, reorganized functions, and added comments. This made the system easier to maintain. I realized some of my earlier codes were more complicated than necessary. Cleaning it up helps prevent future bugs. I tested each category again to confirm that previews loaded correctly, items updated the character, and no errors appeared. This is the first time everything worked consistently across all categories. And that's everything for this episode. With the debugging complete, the wardrobe and sprite systems are stable. In part 8, I'll start working on the main menu. If you enjoyed this series, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time!